Okay, we're gonna do another video. The last one, we're gonna do it on the issue of the two police officers with a criminal who committed assault battery will be charged with assassination attempt. There'll be a fourth one definitely, and that's the father, the owner of the Krka 62 8000 Novo mesto. There'll be another one. This here is what I so far provided, and I will upgrade this a little bit further because just as I explained, what I believe is even a half Serbian, to the police officer Filip Milutinovic, who came to meet me at Krka 62 8000 Novo mesto. Maybe is not half, but probably is quarter Serb. If it's a quarter Serb. From what I recall, this police officer had even two siblings. If these are not two siblings, and those supposedly are older and much taller than he is, I might be completely mistaken about it. It might be his cousins, whatever might be, because he introduced the family in it. They did not like me very much. They didn't like me at all. They also were implicated in MK Ultra, and just like him, they were coming here at Krka on behalf of very much a neighbor here, Metod Yerman. This is the guy I'm going to demonstrate you. I did spoke to him about it already. This is the guy who implicated them in this crime. He was just soliciting wherever he saw the potential to hurt me. He would get people aboard. This was the guy who was deciding about a lot. Not about everything, but he feels about everything because he sure participated in numerous crimes, if not every crime. Our house, where father started to build when I was a child, and where this owner would come to visit. My father didn't care about me much, in a sense of having an open door for whomever, whatever they wanted to do with me in respect to MK Ultra. But on the other hand, if he would have, they would have probably really killed him. Even today, in the so-called independent Slovenia, are going to be clearly seen the parallels with Yugoslavia. Slovenia, Yugoslavia, Yugoslovenia. Even today, the parallels of this Russian flag state with previous Yugoslavia can clearly still be seen. They're still in motion. Nothing really changed other than those who are doing it now have the ability to say Yugoslavia no longer exists. And you are in your own independent Slovenia. That's the only difference there is. I would have Serbs coming here and giving gun threats, literally. And for that matter, I'm gonna open the camera here so that you can see me. I would literally have the Serbs coming to our house and gesturing will get me killed, and even will get my father killed, gun killed. You would have a car that it would be just, you would just approach to the house in a very aggressive way and step out, and all during MK Ultra, all during MK Ultra. When I was a child, however, they would even come directly, the so-called family friends also, from the work, Serbs, from Krka Pharmaceutical, and with one of the people also became this guy from Krka 62, 8000 Novo mesto. That's when I stated to the Serbian police officer this is not the way to solve the problems. He agreed, and it's MK Ultra that he didn't even want to hear anything about it for obvious reasons. He, talking about the owner of this house, was he was visiting Krka, this village, since my childhood, and it really was I myself who got him to the Krka village. I was the one who was given a choice from several violent thugs to select a person that would be the most fit to become practically my neighbor here. This is 450 meters away from our house. And the whole thing was done through the grammar school Novo Mesto, which enforced violence and in which this individual was directly involved in. So based on a total violence, I selected what I believe is this Serb. I believe he's a Serb who then moved to the Krka 62. I don't know exactly when did he purchase the property, because he was talking about all the time about that he already purchased, and then again changed the date, that he already purchased, that he already purchased, that he already purchased, etc., etc., etc. So this guy was switching the dates of the purchase, of the parcel purchase. From what it's the stuff I shouldn't even say. I'm not going to say from whom he purchased, but they talk a lot about Gorše. There was an old lady that was inside of the village, which most likely is not the case, because there's no connection to that land from Gorše, and you do have others who have properties around that area. But then again, I don't know. I really do not know. It was something like all the time hallucinated about money. 10,000 German marks, 20,000 German marks, maybe 20,000 German marks, whatever it is. But his house construction permit came with a big price for me, because once he started to build his house here at the Krka, supposedly, the thing is, this is another issue about this individual. I had no way to know when did he started to build the house, because of the physical violence, because of the hostility that went on, MK Ultra hostility, which exploded throughout the village. Sometimes beginning the 6th grade of the grammar school, when I was age about maybe 12, I would not even go into the village anymore. When I was like 11 years old, something like that, I wouldn't even go to the village anymore. 11, 12, 13, 14, unless I was going through the village. My father already built house, started supposedly to build house sometimes in my, I really don't know, maybe when I was 11 or something like this, 12, not 11, 12, but in my, well, yes, about 11 and 12th grade, maybe something like this. It's very difficult to tell when did he start to build the house. Maybe he started to build the house when I was 14. I do not know. 13, 14, maybe he started to build the house, and might have purchased finally a parcel. Who the hell knows? Maybe when I was in a 7th grade of the grammar school, 13 maybe, something like this. Impossible to know because the criminal was keep coming to the Krka village here to do the havoc, violence. And next to that was using me, I believe that he was using me also on the construction sites of other people. I don't know. This guy supposedly built a house completely by himself with his own hands and was extremely handy, knowledgeable about the construction, also helping other people with it, from what I understand. By profession, this guy, I don't even know what it is, but he flashed in front of me as he flashed in front of me. I might recall something else. It's very difficult. The workshop that came to life was replicated by either him or his very much Serbian lookalike from Serbia. If he wasn't the one taking me to the Serbia, to his original home, where he had a shop also inside, a garage, do the work at his home, then he must have been somebody whom they have used to totally replicate him. Now, the stuff that I told you about his involvement coming to our home and talking, giving death threats, absolutely is in place. This was an extremely violent guy that was involved in violence also on other locations that at home for, actually at the village. He also was implicated in heavy violence in an area from where he moved to this location here. I registered him very much in an area of Osnovna škola Grm, grammar school Novo mesto, where he powered violence. And you know, during MK Ultra, during MK Ultra, we're doing this kind of stuff, coming to our house and gun threatening and stuff like that. Have people coming here gesturing they're going to kill the whole family and so on, that kind of stuff. They would just come. Not only my father or me, but the whole family and so on. That was quite insane. Yugoslavia, this is just the way it was. And this was like a sickness. This was not only a Serb that would do that. They would also get what supposedly was a Bosnian on a picture. They would also come here and death threaten and stuff like this. This is like a sickness. These people see that you are afraid, that system allows with you to be done whatever they wanted. Then you get drug dealers, you get all kinds of criminals. They start to glue on you like a flies on a honey. And this is just one of the people who got it done. His parcel alone, supposedly. It's interesting because something is telling me in my guts that he was working actually in a Krka pharmaceutical, but I don't know. On the other hand, he posed in front of me like somebody who loves to work in the shop, in a workshop, like you would have workshop in a Renault. Let's say we have an area where you have people working on a machines and so on. Something is telling me that his father was actually a Yugo officer here in Slovenia. That he was that these people are actually from Nadmlini. Something is saying to me like that, and then again I don't know. This guy was involved in this case since my earliest childhood. This is nothing this guy did not see. This guy was participating in Illuminati meetings here and so on and so forth. And so they would do abuse, torture, based on which they would follow up. You would tell them that you're going to hurt them as a child. What are you going to do to adult person as a 7, 8, 9 years old child? There's nothing you can do. you know, and so then they would even follow up in real time. They would come and do crazy stuff. When I was not even drugged up, they would follow up on the MK Ultra threats they made during MK Ultra, and then they appeared in real time and stuff like this. This is what they were doing. So once I started to grow up, they didn't do that stuff no more. When I was in the 6th grade at the grammar school, you would just come here and say, I'm going to kill your father, your family, and you. They changed the tactics. They were forced to change tactics. Not in real time. They wouldn't come and say, I'm gonna kill your, you know, or we're gonna come and we're gonna kill your family and so on. We're gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill him, your father, and so on. Just coming here like this. But what they would do is, during MK Ultra, father would create the situations when they would come, the police, obviously, and continue to death threaten and so on, and what are you gonna do and so on. Mental illness type of stuff. This guy supposedly also has a sister. More than sister, but okay. Talking about the older owner of the Krka 62 in Novo Mesto. Supposedly he started to build the house here when I was, that's like the strange part about it. 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, which it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Actually, beginning the 4th grade, 4th and 5th and 6th and 7th and 8th grade, this guy was specialized in schizophrenia. But what he was doing actually, just as with the loan, with the money, with the loan, he was playing a schizophrenia on what I believe were construction sites of other people. They would get me to this construction sites of other people already, inside of the house already at very, very early hours, very crazy early hours, like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, to make as much brain fuck up as possible when it comes to memory. And demanded me basically to treason over there, disallowing me to fall asleep, but to keep it to myself, jucked up. And they would do the work around me, which was a common practice also with the psychiatrist Bosniak, let's say, from Novo Mesto General Hospital, when he was doing his housework, weekend work, or whatever the fuck he was doing. I believe that he probably got the house together, started to build the house, probably what would likely be sometimes at my age, 13, 14, 15, something like this. My transition from grammar school into a high school. It's what I think that he started to build the house. I do not know. Supposedly he was doing everything by himself in the house. Death threats, violence, and the last violence he implicated himself in, basically even increased the violence. This guy always wanted to see me dead. This supposedly is a Serb. Involved killing of my father, for which he, together with village people, started to rehearse on what he insisted through MK Ultra to become his parcel. Now, he was doing everything through MK Ultra, and that's how he, with his son, he hoped he's going to get another building construction permit on what he claimed also is his parcel. The last one he did, so this is the guy who literally hired for a job, for a crime against me. He solicited for crime against me. He's a neighbor, Metod Yerman. I did spoke about this guy. I'm going to give him a little bit more here. Commercial. This is this famous judoist Metod Yerman, the judo expert. Right here you can see one, he is here in the middle. A criminal investigator, hired criminal investigator, for whom I told you had a criminal record that had to be erased, and was literally hired by none other than Slobodan Milošević through Milan Kučan. Slobodan Milošević literally demanded from him to become a police officer. Ask Slobodan Milošević after he was rejected to become a police officer to assist him. And Kučan did. Not that Kučan did. Kučan wanted, but Kučan was looking for other godfathers that would give him. And just happened was the main guy was Slobodan Milošević, who was so much involved in this case. In a last crime, this individual implicated himself in, this was an epicenter of the village violence right here at the end of the village. This was a very, very safe area for the violence, this area. The last one that he implicated himself in, he was hoping for my entire family to be dead anyways. The last issue he implicated himself in was this one here. Okay, this supposedly is a parcel that he purchased. That's what he claimed. He started to fuck with the gravel. Insisted me once they threw me into psychiatric hospital in 2012 that this is going to be a grave for my father, and this would be a frequent location when he would do crazy stuff, death threats. So I would have people coming here in this area behind this forest here. And along the trail toward Jihovo Selo and so on, they had nothing to worry about that area over there. This is what he would be. This was all implicated in violence. People had to get implicated in violence, simply. It was so aggressive, was so violent, but this residence here, this stuff here, where the other guy was implicated in an incident at Graben, a middle finger incident at Graben. This guy was involved in, not him, but his brothers were involved in Mount Everest of violence. I will get to this issue. He gestured that this is going to be grave of my father. He played with. He would keep coming here with he would deliver earth, ground. He would keeping himself busy during MKH, delivering shit here. Obviously that he was preparing a terrain for the house here, and the gravel that was to be a grave from my father. When they threw me into the psychiatric hospital, it was about the grave of my father, with the same shit that Metod Yerman was playing along on some other locations. They were switching the locations, and I did not told you about this stuff. I have a video about how they replicated other location and insisted me for the bench that you see right there is a grave for my father. Why were they doing this kind of stuff? They were doing this kind of stuff because of my father's cooperation with police at Home for Elderly People at present, or I should say since 2022, where first my father was doing everything he possibly could together with the police to destroy me, and secondary, once a mother joined in the game, or in other words, I was only allowed to visit father during the hours of my mother's visit. That's the way it goes. The two were doing whatever they possibly could to get me killed with assistance of police. Indifferent was, for instance, the last visit at the father, when I told my father, based on MK Ultra scenario, I came in the morning to do exercise, to work out with him, to exercise him. This is how I do the exercise, ladies and gentlemen. That's the kind of exercise that I do. He doesn't want to work with me. He doesn't want to work out. He doesn't want a simple exercise like this. It's too much for him. And this is all based on MK Ultra scenario, all based on Nurse Yanko, I should say, who stated, I'm going to get you somebody who's going to demonstrate you even how to do exercise. And he got a therapist who was doing this types of exercise, who's actually qualified, educated as a therapist at Home for Elderly People that works, that is also employed at Home for Elderly People, who started doing MK Ultra to rape me with how I will do the exercise with the father. So if he doesn't even want to cooperate with the stuff like this, and you do have a man walking right on the bridge right there, you see mother going around, back and forth. There is a guy walking on the bridge,
so he made them prison,
which is
practically legs. Before I started to let go, and he was fine. The police gave me a guy standing on a bridge, walking on a bridge, back and forth, and that was supposed to intimidate me. That was the first warning sign the police gave me. Ah, there you go. There comes again, back and forth.
Yeah, you can see him right there on the picture. You can see him. He's walking. And that's how I supposed to watch father giving me a hard time, and at the same time, even based on police threats, feel intimidated. They were playing with anxiety, insisting how the police is going to come here at any time, and so on. They'll be yelling, they'll be screaming, they'll be, I don't know what the fuck is going to be, and so on. This location here that you see next to the stream, they were delivering me for the torture at this location since I was 10 years old. This location that you see here next to the stream, they were delivering me for torture to this location since I was 10 years of age. This location. And my father participated in the torture. Was used for the torture purposes and watched me being tortured. Solicited torture in the area of Home for Elderly People from other citizens, house owners, apartment owners throughout Shmichel, throughout Nadmlini, entire area around apartment buildings and homes. I felt that he didn't want to do that, but he had to, through the police pressure, through the so-called Slovenska Policija, Slovenian police. He exactly was doing what I stated during already what was Yugoslavia, a famous Yugoslavia. When I told my father that if he will not cooperate with me, I told him, I don't want any kind of witnessing from you. This isn't the first time that happened. I keep coming to help him, and he started to give me an attitude based on MK Ultra scenario, for which he suggested even that during MK Ultra that he's going to keep his legs so stiff that when I will be moving his legs, we are doing an exercise like he is pushing a bicycle. Okay? And that means that I'm giving him resistance. Rather than he would be pushing the air, I am keeping his hands like he's pedaling a bicycle. So he's using some kind of a minimal physical force. And then what I do is I occasionally help him to stand up and sit back. You know? And maybe even make 10 steps or something like that on the with mother behind with a wheelchair. This is what I am doing. And father gestured me during an MK, my legs are going to be so stiff that you're going to lift me up. Just as you lift my sofa I was laying on in the living room area, based on which he triggered psychiatric charges against me. This is what we have going on now. That was in 2012, and this is what we have going on in 2025. Father wants to tell his own story. As a matter of fact, he wants me to make a martyr out of total criminal. He continues to play a police game, and he is using me practically to destroy me. My work, my input, my efforts to come to help. It wasn't enough, he screwed my life up. That's what we have going on at the present. I told him, I don't want from you any kind of assistance, because police insisted me how the father is going to go with me. They did this. In front of me, they took me from one house to another, to several residences, where the people were willing to supposedly tell that it was existence of MK Ultra. And the police selected the people that had nothing to do with the violence, or at least have a little to do with the violence. Because I don't know if there was any people like that. So people had to get involved in violence. If you didn't get involved in violence, you could not participate in MK Ultra. And if you went on to complain against the police, you end up losing the job. It was okay if you didn't want to participate in MK Ultra. However, the government would not assist you with a job search. Beginning already with a job search was a failure. People claimed me there is nothing happening without MK Ultra. They keep telling me this during MK Ultra. And I told Father, listen, why? Because he was worried, because he was burdened with himself foremost. My father during MK Ultra claimed me, once you get me at home for elderly people and so on, you ain't gonna get nothing from me. I don't care what is it gonna be and so on. I never asked him for any kind of assistance. I was trying to help him out to get him home, so he could go fishing, so he could have his life, so he'd have his stuff. He appears was nowhere even near, not even remotely near as death threatened as they were trying to depict during MK Ultra. He was doing very good his police work together with the mama, who, by the way, on this occasion here, this is a whole series, this is not only a single occasion. I recorded the whole series of the incidents. Every time they play according to MK Ultra incidents, they were creating the incidents with my mother driving me insane, driving father on the upper floor on a parking area for which they insisted, why is she driving him here? Keep delivering him to the graveyard when they knew that I'm coming. She was diligently delivering him to the graveyard. But that's really what police insisted me, a noise area, the cars are passing by, fumes and so on, and mother was driving him on a parking lot in front of me, in a circles, on an upper parking lot next to the road. That's the kind of stuff. They wanted me to get concerned for the father. That stuff, manipulation are done through MK Ultra to completely dement you, right? And so I, contrary to that, was coming to the father to do rehabilitation, to do the physical work, to keep him alive, to get him home. Giving him opportunity to open his mouth, basically, and explain, tell what it is, clearly indicated that I don't want to have nothing to do with his persecution. It was in none of my interest. Anybody who watched my blog could confirm For a very long time, all I was doing, I was trying to get my father out and home safe and so on. But that was not enough for my father. He, with the mother, continued to play the game. At any time, the only thing he could do is open his mouth and tell. I was asking him questions about this location, other locations, so on. He did not remember anything. He did not remember. He remembered nothing about what went on. Nothing about what went on. On this occasion, as I described right here, it ended with my mother. After I warned my father, I told my father, listen, if you're not going to do the exercise, at least for yourself, for your own sake, so that you can come home and you can do fishing. I told him, I don't want any kind of witnessing from you. I don't want anything from you. This shit is going on because my father eventually did not open his mouth. This was a police idea. This is all Milan Kuchan idea, politicians. But the thing is that if you have somebody like myself, what the fuck do you have to lose if you tell what exactly went on? He's playing demented and so on, but the video recordings point out, clearly knows what is the telephone. He clearly answers the question. He is a completely sound mind. Everything is normal. Acting is, however, the issue here. The videos I did not even place online on the internet yet. He played his game well, and I told him, listen, if you're not going to even cooperate with me, that I'm going to be coming like this to you to assist you, so that you cannot even come home and be at home, go fishing, have still something out of your life. In that case, I told him, because this is a rotten criminal, isn't it? I mean, if he doesn't want to cooperate, if he doesn't want to tell what went on, it's fine with me. It's fine with me. I really don't want him to tell anything because he didn't deserve to tell anything. That's one thing. The second thing is, all I was coming there is to help him out so he can come home and have something out of his life. I didn't like the way the mother treated him during MK Ultra. But mother is trying to portray this issue as the work of the two. My father was the one who got fucked way more than mother. And he's also an older, much older man than she is. I really do not appreciate her for what she did. The two did this stuff based on the health problems they developed during MK Ultra. I told you how they played also with me when it comes to the stroke. Today I again got 4 hours of sleep. I get 4 hours of sleep on every day, on a daily basis. And I feel I have a heart problems already because of this stuff. They hope for the worst. So, given that term that you can only come from 8 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock in the morning, and you can only see your father in the presence of your mother, you know, is the term that reduces the window of any kind of mother doesn't allow the use of the car. I already told mother to get rid of the car, to sell the car. Does not allow the maintenance of the car. I purchased the oil for the car from the store. I yet have to put this stuff on the internet, which was implicated in Mount Everest of torture. Milan Kuchan's store, a local Robert Golopi store, the people who were doing all the purchases business through our house, literally supplies. They were doing business with the suppliers and stuff like this, negotiating through Milan Kuchan, through Robert Golop, not too far from here store, where I came to pick up the engine oil with the car, where I delivered the engine oil, 5 liters of engine oil on my bicycle. Somehow I managed to deliver back this oil on the bicycle with my backpack on my back with a bicycle, and was forced to come to pick up the oil back to the store because of the attitude of the employees, who further started to involve, based on MK Ultra scenario, criminals whom they used during MK Ultra literally for a physical torture inside of the store. They told me, before you're going to get your money back for the oil, we're going to present you to few more customers. And the last time I was there, they started, not the last time, but every time I came to the store, it was a violent people that started to appear there. And the last time was one really violent thug, whom I also have identified, that appeared there and so on. So, you know, you're going to keep coming back asking for the money, something you even delivered back with a bicycle, and for what was deemed is going to be very difficult to do, very difficult task to do. It's got to be packaged just the way it was, to the last millimeter, finally, so you can get all scratched up box of the oil that you purchased over there. So you can take one back home with a bicycle again, and that's exactly what this is the stuff they do. This is what the fuck goes on. They fucking driving, they are arranging life based on crime they enforce throughout MKH, and I told you, at least 11 years of my life I spent jucked up, 24/7. Talk about 24/7. Through MK Ultra brainwash. Never took drugs in my life, never took cigarettes in my life, and barely drink any alcohol in my life. Here I explain my mother, I tell her, I started to explain, hey, there is a guy walking over there on the bridge.
In zaradi tega, ker si kosti hodim tukaj lomiti, jaz nisem nor. Ti si pa zločinka, ti si pa zločinka. Tu sem ti že povedal, da si zločinka. Tu sem ti pa povedal.
Mother tells me, I come to help father. Mother tells me, no more exercise, go home. That's it. So I go home.
To je vse, kar je. Domu za starejši, v preteklu policisti noče delati. Kaj, hodim tukaj lom povedal.
So now you're gonna go.
And that was supposed to intimidate me. That was the first warning sign the police gave me. Ah, there you go. There comes again, back and forth.
So you're going to go and you're going to work under this kind of circumstance you're going to do. And before she left, mother, she called me, I'm insane, after I told what father was doing. Right here, this spot. Under this kind of circumstance, I told my father, listen, if you cannot even take care of yourself, and I come here to rehabilitate you, to help you out so that you can survive this. So you can come home and you can still have something out of your life. In that case, I told him, you're going to go either to the jail or you're going to be left on that bed over there at home for elderly people. You're going to rot on that bed. That's exactly what I did. I told him, they have you here 3 years already. If you don't want to even cooperate, if you don't even want me to help you health-wise, in that case, you're going to end up either inside of the jail or you're going to end up on that bed over there, rotten on that bed. He insisted he will rather rotten on the bed to me during MK Ultra. This is the way it was. This is the story. This is the stuff that goes on with this stuff. Mother made sure that I would see his casket today. Yeah, because it was always about psychiatrist. Peter Kafka was always about how we get him back in the game. How we get him back in the game. So the one who called me insane again, because she does this all the time anyways, placed a bread basket for which she alone suggested is ugly and no longer would even use one anymore, she placed this stuff on a table. In the morning, they're going to kill your father. They're going to kill your father. And it was my arguing with Robert Golob and Milan Kuchan that involved this portion of MKH brainwash with two of them claiming to my father that they don't want him anymore. They don't want him anymore for this stuff. So this is what psychiatrist Peter Kapsch referred to as, it's how we get you back in the game. In other words, you're running to father. Stroke and cardiovascular. That's what that is. That's a psychiatrist Peter Kapsch. That's how they do that stuff. Yeah, you don't get any sleep, 4 hours of sleep. With serious health problems like this, you keep pushing. Eventually you're gonna, and that's it. That's that, basically. It's what also I was told the case is gonna be. The last crime this guy implicated himself in literally was here, beginning in 2012. He supposedly purchased this parcel. He negotiated this parcel. I don't know when did he purchase the parcel. This is the same shit as it was with his house over there. The same shit as with his house over there. The same thing as with his house. With his house, which he built through such insane circumstances I explained, so that I would have no track of timing that pertained to his house. He's going to explain about all this issue about the timing wise. It's extremely important, the issue of the schizophrenia. We're going to talk about the schizophrenia here. Together with the Slovenian government, they're going to explain all about how they did the schizophrenia in respect to his house. That house right there that is standing of this Serbian is nothing other than pure schizophrenia. That's a real schizophrenia. That's a mental illness right there. After he placed the house that you see right there, there is another house that grew up right there. And they started to mix his house of issue of his house, of his building, with a house next door to him. And claimed that it's supposed to be from his relatives, Maribor, something like that. So these guys next door to him are nowhere near remotely as violent as he was, but the house that you see next door that grew up, that built, and what was fascinating to the female police officer, whom I have well described here in this post here already, was that timing-wise, they created a fuck-up because it was another house, you see, that was growing up over there. In extremely hostile already since my childhood area. This house here from what I recall, this house was here already when I was in, started to build this house already in a 7th, 8th grade of the grammar school. Just few years later, after my father had his house built, was this house popped up sometimes in, I would say, 1986, something like that. I would give this house 1986, 1987. You know what? 1987, 1988. I'm going to say 1988 this house was completed. Talking about Krka 62. 1968, 1989, 1990, I would say the house was completed. Okay? Then you have the other house also appear next door, and finally you have another house. I had this guy here that you see. There are 3 houses. And the Slovenian government, the way the Slovenian government was doing this, first it was this house here. Yes, this was first. Then it was this house here. And then it was the 3rd house there. So the way they did it, the way they enforced the schizophrenia, which was so fascinating to the female police officer, is in such a way that if you wouldn't be even tortured, exposed to this kind of issues, you would have a problem with memorizing when was which house built. You understand me what I'm saying? You know, we're talking about extreme hostility here. Extreme. We're talking about extremes here. The last he implicated himself through the violence was into this issue here, which he was preparing for the parcel, which he purchased, I don't know. Again, the same shit. The parcel he purchased, he purchased this parcel in 2004, in 2000, he purchased, sorry, I'm really mistaken here. He purchased this house in 2000, and again in 2000, every year, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005. And meanwhile, he was looking also for other parcels. He was soliciting other people also for the sale of the parcel in area here. Yeah, this is the way it was. But he claimed that this was the parcel. He had other locations for which he did the same shit. Other locations for which he suggested that he purchased a parcel. That might not even be his parcel. Who the fuck knows? This shit might not even be his parcel. Who the fuck knows if this is his parcel? He was demonstrating the other locations also, for which he also insisted he purchased the parcel. So this schizo-Serbian is going to have to explain, this Serbian animal is going to have to give some answers about what he was doing in respect to all this stuff. He's going to have to explain a little bit what mental illness is for the world to understand what mental illness is. I told you, for me, mental illness is already the house over there that is standing. That's mental illness. Took a shovel, I like to call that shuffle. Šafla in Slovenian is, let me explain to you, šafla is like you use that, you know, for the gravel, and this is what impressed Americans about my referring to the shovel as šafla, a shuffle, as a shuffle. It's not a shuffle. Although you may start to like a shuffle now, it's a shovel, but in Slovenian, šafla is exactly what I stated to you in a slang. Was started to use this here also to get in front of the village people, especially the one that I demonstrated you. His name is Metod Jerman, who was enforcing and hiring people for all this stuff, to literally death threaten me with a shovel in his hand that he's gonna use one during MKH or came in my face and make moves that he's gonna cut me with a shovel and stuff like that, kill my father and so on. This is the beginning again, not the beginning but all along. And then we go again, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015 and so on. The guy was so violent that they started to assure me it's going to be a guy who was painting our house that will participate in this stuff so that he's not going to hurt me. As I was reminded of the violence by Milan Kučan, by Robert Golob, by the animals from Novo Mesto police station, in particular Igor Juršić. reminded of the violence, basically, reminded of what they were doing with me during MK Ultra. That's how sickening this shit is with this scum from the so-called Novo Mesto police station. I told you, I refuse to refer to them even as criminals. Zverina. Zverina je prava beseda. Zverina, beast is the right word for what you see is employed inside and here. So violent that he who was nicer with me than most of the people would make sure that he wouldn't do anything to me. This is how they did, and that's what they were doing this. I came a few months ago and I asked, how is it going? I came past here, I went for a hiking, and the only thing I got is the ugly look. Him holding that shuffle like crazy, like a schizo, like a real shizo. Who knows if this guy is not a shizo? Who the hell knows if he's not a shizo? He's definitely a criminal, but next to the criminal, it's question what other elements these people suffer from. It's an illness, it's a sickness. This place is so sick that this location here that you see here, let me make sure about this stuff that I don't make a mistake about this stuff here. Here is this location that you see here, the house. This is the guy who painted our house. This is what they were using for rituals. This was the ritual location. That means they would do a fire. It's also known as a kres. This kind of stuff. They were using two locations in this area here. They were using a fire like this at this location here. This one, before he moved he built the house, and they had another location here uphill, which was this one here. You cannot see it from here, but there's another location here behind. There's a road here. See? And this is related directly to the guy with the middle finger. They would use another location here to play with, to have a fire and torture at the same time. And the torture was so bestial that I promised on a multiple occasion to these people, I'm going to kill them all. This was since my childhood that went on. This is about a real satanism. Do you know what evil, like a pure evil? Like a pure evil, I'm going to push you inside of the fire, shut the fuck up, and so on, and alcohol and stuff like this. This is what went on the Krka, and this here is already considered as a Smolinja Gora throughout my lifetime. These people, when they were doing this kind of stuff, I'm going to kill you with a shuffle and stuff like this, they had nothing to worry about. This is obviously about total animals who embraced psychiatry with not everything they had, but literally to save their bare lives, because there's one thing they didn't want. They didn't want truth to come out, and they definitely wanted my entire family together. Not together with me, but they wanted me killed together with the entire family gone from here. Because of the amplitude, because of the degree, because of the amount of crime these people from Krka and surrounding areas involved themselves in this genocide extermination procedure. So now it's up to you to decide whether I did describe mental illness properly or I did not. You tell me if this is a mental illness or is not. You're going to look at this house here. You're going to look at this house here and you explain to me if this is a definition of the mental illness or not. These are my doorsteps. You can build yourself a fucking entrance to your house, whatever the fuck you want. But these are my doorsteps. And this took place in what is my country. This is not in Serbia. This is in my country. This is what should be my country. This is my homeland. This is my home. This is 450 meters from my home. You heard about the Yugoslav war, how that stuff ended. This was the second house, the one that you see in the middle, that came to life. And that was the house that came to life in, I don't know, I gotta think about that stuff. And then this was the third house that came to life at even later stage. So we have 3 houses here. Yes, I know I should be telling you where each house came to life. And the thing is, I want to talk about this house here, okay? Because this is a pure schizophrenia. This is not a house. This is a Serbian lunacy. Extermination procedure is what this is. And they contemplated through the use of police, in fact through the Serbian police officer from Novo Mesto police station, to extend the extermination procedure beyond to what would be a new building permit, construction permit for another parcel. This might not even be a parcel where they will build anything here, just as I explained. It might be totally other parcel. But he was using these issues basically to depict me as mentally ill, just that a female police officer was so impressed, enthusiastic about it. To voice, basically, this is us. Here we are. This is what we can do. This is what we are. This is what we can. Yes, we can. Now, you cannot, and you will not. And you will not here in Slovenia, and you will not in Serbia. Because if you will go to Serbia, my man, I'm going to get you out of Serbia, you and your son. I'm going to get you out of Serbia in the jail. You're going to spend not one life sentence. You're going to get multiple life sentences for this. This is called, it's not even a domestic terrorism. It's a form of domestic terrorism. And he goes beyond. He goes to the issue of the ethnic cleansing, which we continue to observe inside of the Ukraine. Russians were doing, and now the Russians enforce through machine guns, tanks, etc., etc. This is how they got the Ukrainian people out. This is how they converted and deleted Ukrainian people from the face of the earth. And then they came with a tank. First thing they did, they learned them to speak Russian language. Then the tanks come. That's the way it is. Thank you for the niceness, they say. We're going to take a date and time here. This is the date and time, Saturday, August the 30th, 2025. Thanks for watching this video. Till next time. I know you love it. Mornings, especially, are suitable for the brain screw up. Every psychiatrist, every psychologist will explain you. It's a system, it's the way to screw in the head. It's designed literally to brain screw. Developmental illness over the course of the end of the day is why my mother is doing her visits so early like this in the mornings to the father. This is also one of the reasons why she's doing. Beside that, as psychiatrist Peter Kapsch, I heard him saying, mornings are the most productive. This is when you have clean brain, clean memory. This is where you can explain, tell, point out. And instead of that, right? It's not only about the stroke, it's not only about the cardiovascular, it's about other issues too. For when it comes to animals attacking me physically. Philip Hrgovic insisted, you must wear a body camera, you must wear a body camera. He insisted they will be doing this stuff because you're not going to have a body camera and so on. That's what he insisted during MK Ultra. He's going to have to explain all about that stuff. He knew about all other locations where Milan Kučan, Gregor Golob, Robert Golob, Gregor Golobic, and mighty Slovenian parliamentarians contemplated with a psychiatrist, with a mighty Novo Mesto police department, whatever that is. That's laughable. On more assaults, more attacks, etc., etc. Finally, the neighbor Metod Jerman, this guy here, is going to have to explain about how inside of the forest, that's basically here, where he also would enforce violence in this forest here behind our house, in the area of our house, all around the village is this forest. Okay, finally he's going to have to explain another issue. Nah, none of them are going any fucking place. Right where you see right there, home, that's our home right there. And all this, you see this area here, wherever you see the forest here, do you see this area here, forest? This is all what torture went on inside of the forest, all around this forest area. All this. He said to me he's going to have to explain this stuff. All this. Everywhere. Forest was the torture location. This is all where rituals would go inside. Finally, he will have to explain the issue for which he stated the so-called neighbor. This is worse than neighbor from hell. He's going to have to explain about, he said to me, and he had people running in my face. He said to me, I said to him, I'm not going to get involved in fight. Simply, I'm not going to get involved in fight. He said to me, he said, do you think somebody's going to ask you? Do you think somebody's going to ask you? What about if he will start to walk in the forest? Then he will no longer walk through the village. Yeah, you will do a lot of walk through the forest. We see, because of the incidents through the village. They contemplated on confrontations with the entire village, from house to house, to develop the problems. Yeah, we see you're going to walk a lot through the forest. He's going to walk a lot through the forest. Yeah, you're going to walk a lot through the forest. Yeah, we're going to have to do fight in the forest. You're going to have this guy. You're going to have to fight with him. We already arranged, and he had somebody, whoever, for the forest. He was doing the stuff that I'm going to have fight with him in the forest. And I said, what about if I'm not going to fight? Who's going to ask you? If you're not going to fight with him, we're going to get you another one and another one and another one. It's all about what I stated in this video. And so, what is this closer to the beasts, to the animals, to the criminals, or to the people? You explain to me. Are these people? Are these animals? Are these criminals? I don't think so. The answer for Novo Mesto police station I used to refer to them as animals. It's very, very clear, isn't it?